How do you build a bulletproof acquisition thesis in less than 30 minutes? Let me show you how to do that through our bespoke tool. My name is Marco Palmero, founder of Ulysses, and our company helps private equity groups, search funds, investment professionals in finding more deal flow. We basically originate deal flow on their behalf so they can spend more time closing transactions, and we basically act as their fractional M&A team. And in this video, I want to cover a topic that is particularly relevant to all these folks that are looking to acquire a company for the first time, or maybe they are an entrepreneur with an existing business looking to buy their first company to expand, but they don't have a lot of clarity on what are the type of companies they should go after, what type of company matches their current profile, and all these sorts of questions that I think are just very fair and in most instances are not answered unless you pay tens of thousands of dollars to consultants and advisors. I want to try and solve this problem for you for free because this tool that we developed kind of helps you in mapping out your ideal acquisition candidate, and it does that for free. So I'll put the link to this below, and now let's go through that together to understand how we structured this tool, because we used industry data in a very in-depth system for basically understanding what are your core priorities and also what are the options that you're choosing from. I mean, the ideas that you're juggling with, and then how can those fit into your profile so that you can maximize the chances of success, and ultimately you can move forward with confidence with your first acquisition or your second, whatever it is. So let's dive into the tool. Build a bulletproof acquisition thesis in 30 minutes or less. So keep track of time. We should be able to get that done in less than 10 minutes. But I mean, if you want to take more time, you can certainly do that. So acquisition thesis builder. So first we want to start with the profile of the buyer. So as a buyer, you might have different preferences for companies that you want to buy. And also you're going to come from different backgrounds. That helps in understanding what are the type of assets that you should go after. And this is an honest assessment that ultimately tells you what makes sense for you, not only financially, but also from a strategic perspective. So in this case, I'm going to play the prospect and I'm going to do this questionnaire, pulling out random ideas out of my head. Let's say, how much liquid capital do I have to deploy? Let's say in this case, I have 250 and 500K. So very low budget. I want to buy a business. And let's say, just to put some data in it before we actually dive into the process, let's say that I want to buy a SaaS company. So I want to buy a technology software business, software as a service, sort of like in the online arena. I want to do an acquisition that is around 1-3 million. And I want to try to be partially hands-off. I can be involved maybe in a CEO capacity, but wouldn't want to be involved in day-to-day management necessarily. So let's try to build that acquisition thesis and kind of like answer questions based on this initial idea that I have, and see if our market mapping tool kind of gives us the answers that we want, or where it points us in terms of solutions. So I have 250 and 500K, let's say, and I'm doing it solo. So I don't have partners, I don't have family offices that are backing me. I'm just doing it by myself. I'm currently a passive buyer. I'm not planning to operate the day-to-day, but let's say, just to keep it a little bit more open, that I'm searching full-time. So let's just say that I might want to be involved, but I'm not necessarily going to be passive. In my background, in this case, let's say it's finance. Now, management experience, let's say that I have experience in managing people, and I have run a P&L before, so I understand the nuances of it. Geographic, let's say the geography, let's say that it is across the US. Since it is a SaaS business, I can operate it basically from everywhere. And that's one of the reasons why I'm buying. Let's just assume that is this circumstance. How many businesses have you serially evaluated so far? In this case, let's say 6 to 20, and I already have my professional advisors in place. Let's go next. How do you want to run the business? As I said, let's say I want to be hands-on, semi-active. Let's say our GM and stay strategically involved. So it's not like a full-time position that I want to have, want to buy a job fundamentally, but I want to be involved in the business, and I can be involved if opportunity arises. I can handle a business of 6 to 20 just to keep it consistent with what I said before in this profile that we're building. That is kind of like just a use case. I said that I managed 6 to 20 employees in the past, so I'm comfortable in managing a company of more or less the same size. Operational complexity, I'd like to be simple, and I can be either B2C or B2B, although maybe SaaS will be more like B2B oriented, but not necessarily. So revenue model preference, let's say, is subscription retainers for the SaaS companies. Want to be recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue. And I prefer to avoid real estate. I want to be asset light. Now, appetite for distress, I would say no. I want profitable companies only. I'm not interested in buying a SaaS business that is just a startup, building up momentum that has a bunch of different issues, or bleeding out cash in order to exit through an IPO. Not interested in that stuff. Are you open to buy a franchise? In this case, let's say no. Now, onto the financials. 1 to 3 million target revenue range, as I said before, small size SaaS business. Minimal EBITDA, SaaS ideally should be more than 30, but let's say in this case, just to keep it a little bit more optimistic and then like comprehensive, let's say it's 20% EBITDA that I'm targeting. Asset preference, asset light, as I said before. Importance of recurring revenue, I would say essential for SaaS in this case. In real estate, prefer to avoid, as I said before. Now let's select some sectors that will fall under SaaS, although there's just one here. Let's just include some others just to give the market mapping tool more info to chew and kind of like provide us with more in-depth feedback. So I would include marketing and digital agencies. I would include IT. I would include e-com, even though they're not SaaS per se. And I would include, let's say, niche media and publishing. Let's just include that as well. Just again, to give you an idea of all the data that we can put out by matching and confronting different sub-industries. Because again, of course, if we just put SaaS, it's going to provide us feedback with SaaS specifically. But if you're going through this market map testing, chances are some of the industries you're considering, and you're basically in doubt between some of them. So it's important to give the tool as much data as possible so that it can then rank things based on priorities and based on the info that you gave them. And that's what I'm doing here when I'm selecting multiple sub-industries. Let's just include B2Bs, no professional services. No, let's just keep it outside of that. So 5, I think it's good. Let's proceed. Overall risk tolerance. Let's say in this case, I'm moderately open to risk, and I might want to do it SBA, 7A. I mean, I do suspect that a SaaS might have challenges with SBA, but I mean, in this case, let's just say I'm a complete novice. I don't know anything about it, and I just say, okay, I want to buy a SaaS with SBA. I looked at a TikTok video of a guy that said you can buy a business with no money down using SBA, and I want to buy a SaaS, and I want to be a SaaS founder. Let's just say I'm that type of person, and okay, so I want to do it with SBA. Have you spoken to an SBA lender yet? No, but planning to use SBA financing. Positioning on seller financing, I say preferred. Let's just say we want to use seller financing as part of the purchase price too. And earnout tolerance, I'm open to paying a seller an earnout. Key person, I would say manageable, because again, as I said, I might want to be involved partially, but not necessarily all the time. And then I want to exclude all these industries that are not really needed and wouldn't want to be involved in. Okay, so how clear is your industry today? I would say leaning towards 1 or 2 industries. As I mentioned before, I selected some, so I want to make sure I'm giving it the right feedback. What does success look like for you in your tree? I would say strong personal cash flow. I want to have a SaaS that spits out money for me, and I want to close a deal in 6 to 12 months. Let's say here I want to put in my email, test@test.com, and Marco would be my name and last name, and company name. Let's say it's Ulysses. Accept the terms. And again, this is the exact same process that you're going to go through. So you're going to put in your details and you're going to go generate my acquisition thesis. As you can see, it spits out results right away. Owner, operator, buyer. It says it shares a summary of what you already put in, just to give you context around all the info that you have, and kind of like make sure that that is actually accurate compared to in relation to what you submitted as information. Target deal size, it gives you all the answers, and then it says it also gives you some updates around recent changes of regulations in perspectives around the purchase prices, financing options, and so forth. Most important thing is section 3, so industry analysis and market multiple. So here's where basically takes all this data that we inputted in section 1 and 2 and spits out the results. As you can see, it's ranking all the sectors that I give them as consideration by priority, and it says how much of a fit they are based on the answers I gave and the market conditions, of course. In this case, as you see, SaaS is only ranked as second as a priority, and IT services and managed service providers are actually ranked as an 83% profile fit compared to 77 for SaaS. Reason for that, as you can see here below in the feedback, is that SaaS appears to be SBA restricted and needs to be verified with the lenders. So there might be some complexity in financing deals in SaaS, which, as I mentioned before, was something I was suspecting. But again, I made this test as a person that knows nothing about these challenges. And so it suggests to proceed with IT services and managed service providers based on the profile that you have, because it's going to be more SBA eligible and therefore give you less trouble. All the others are ranked and kind of outline the reasons why the profile fit is a little bit less ideal. Activity might be low, consolidation might be low, and overall they appear to be less aligned with the information that you share. Your implied deal size, they also have some info about the EBITDA trading multiples based on the industry data, and with a 450K EBITDA business, you would have an acquisition price of 3.2 million using a 7.2 EBITDA multiple. So it's basically calculating some of the prospective purchase prices based on the industry data that has been collected by the tool. If we scroll down, you see that it shows you then how is it that you build a pipeline of deals, provided you accept that these are this information is accurate and it is aligned with what your goals and objectives are. Then how can we get started? So what is the immediate action step that you can take to ultimately start generating opportunities in that sector? Well, here it shows you the deal origination strategy that you can deploy, how to build a proprietary deal pipeline. It prioritizes some ideas: direct owner outreach, associations, accountants, and of course, working with us. I guess the tool is kind of biased in this case, and that's how we want it to be, right? But anyways, it also shows a bunch of other things ranked by priority based on, again, the sector and industry that is ranked the highest. So where is it that you can start, and it also shares some tools that you can use for every channel so that you can get going right away. So in this case, I see LinkedIn, for example. I would assume that a lot of SaaS and managed service providers might have a LinkedIn presence. So reaching out to owners in that particular channel might be very beneficial, because again, you can connect with them directly and then start a conversation on that particular channel. But again, it might not be the only solution, because we don't generally want to have only one channel for origination. We want to have multiple. So how to secure your first offer? Well, based on the info that you gave us, the tool also provides you with an idea of how to structure your first offer based on the terms that you're comfortable with. And most importantly, it also shares what to verify before you close. This is based on the industry that you selected. So it basically shares a bunch of different things that are particular to your industry. Of course, in most cases, stuff will be similar across industries, but in others, it will be different. For example, industry specific items, you see monthly recurring revenue and non-recurring revenue reconciliation. That might not be a thing for another business in another sector. So there are some things that remain the same as suggestions and others that are more industry specific. So here you get the suggestions on what to be aware of as you start looking at these deals so you don't make mistakes. Lastly, your personal walkaway list. So this is what to avoid fundamentally. So it's like all the lists of items that might be deal killers for you. So you avoid getting into transactions that are just not a fit for you based on your own profile. And again, this is quite useful because once we have an understanding of what are the type of companies that you want to go after, we also want to understand what are the companies you want to walk away from and what are the criteria that will make you walk away. Here you already have a list that you of course can refine, but it gives you already a very good idea of what are the things that the red flags fundamentally of that particular industry. Lastly, what to do next in order. This is an action checklist that you can use to basically start taking immediate action on the market map. So you basically not only get information that is pre-packaged for you and that is specifically tailored to your needs, but you also get an immediate list of action items that you can execute to start getting the results that you need. So keep your advisory team engaged, because before we said that we already had it. Then we need to understand if SBA is approving some of these industries that we mentioned above, right? Your one-page acquisition criteria, outreach, systematized deal evaluation, and of course, talk to us if you don't have this system in place, because we can build it for you, or we can run something on your behalf and then just bring you the opportunities. Of course, you can also download this PDF, this whole thing as a report so that you can keep it with yourself and you can run this test as many times as you want. The point is, as you can see, is that this report gives you in-depth information that are strategically based on your current financial and personal profile. So you know what are the industries that you should go after, what are the action steps that you need to take to start originating deal flow, and what are red flags, things to be aware of when you get into these deals, due diligence checklists, and so on and so forth. So it's pretty in depth. And again, I'm looking at the recorder here. We are less than 20 minutes. So in just about 15 minutes, you can get a pretty good understanding of what is it that you should go after and why. And yeah, if you have doubts about what are the type of companies that you should be buying, or if you have a business already and you're considering acquisitions and you don't know how to expand your company, then this can be a relevant test too, because it gives you clarity that you need based on a bunch of different criteria. So I'll put the link below this video. Check that out, go through it. And again, it's free for you to use until we decide otherwise. So take advantage until it's there. And yeah, that's basically it.